Hello, Connecticut. Now, you hear all the problems about Alvin Bragg, and he is right now going through his law license is being challenged, which should occur. But we have prosecutors in Connecticut who are just as bad, if not worse, than Alvin Bragg. So if you want to call me about any of the prosecutors, I know 4 that are huge troublemakers, okay? Including Richard Colangelo, who took a bribe in a murder that I covered, and he is no longer chief state's attorney because of me. Oh, that's my opinion. But when you look on the document reader right here, this is a transcript from a court proceeding of Judge Randolph. Now, Judge Randolph is sitting there while a prosecutor says that I threatened multiple judges, which I never would do. Okay? The prosecutor is lying. Okay? Because I get along perfectly well with Crumrich, Blowie. I've never, we have hearings. We just had one last week. Kavanewski, I had a very nice 45-minute hearing with last week. I've met every judge many, many times. I've had 350 cases. I've never had an argument with a judge. Never. But what I'm witnessing here, if you read what's going on in this transcript, the prosecutor is saying he had a conversation with Judge Blowie and Judge McShane. That is an ex parte communication, which is supposed to avoid any appearance of impropriety, and it violates basically judicial canons of law. So I'm showing you the conversation here, and the fact that Judge Randolph is hearing it from the prosecutor of ex parte communications between 2 other judges, which recently Mr. McShane hit the ceiling. 9 of us were in the courtroom, witnessed the appearance of Sam Magliari, who's discussed in this document, and has now been falsely arrested 11 times. 11 times. A whistleblower. I'm a whistleblower. I was the first whistleblower in the United States against Bernie Madoff. They don't want to hear it from me, okay? I whistleblew on September 30th, 2000. Sam's a whistleblower about Stanford corruption. I've witnessed it firsthand. Watch my case in the screen. Go look at it. Flynn versus Malloy. I sued Malloy for 500,000 felonies. What happened? Provader heard the case. Provader was counsel to the city of Stanford when Malloy was mayor of Stanford. These are problems, folks. When Malloy became a judge, he made Provader. When Malloy became a governor, he made Provader a judge, and he made Provader hear the case of my complaint that I filed with Judge Provader as chief counsel of the city of Stanford. Now, we're not talking about a small amount of money here. We're talking about 500,000 felonies. Many of them range in the $100,000 and $1 million range each. Some deal with IPOs of NASDAQ. $1 million each. Okay? Millions of dollars. One trade is worth $37 million, folks. One trade out of the 500,000. Those shares are missing. It's called Paladin Labs. I bought 250,000 Paladin Labs at 75 cents. It got bought out at 150. Bought out at 150. Okay? That's one trade. We bought 8,000 Regeneron at 20. It's trading at 750. Hey, how many million is that? One trade. Millions. Some trades are... One trade in question here is Select Therapeutics. I believe it's worth $1,000 a share. We're missing 1 million shares. That's a billion with a B. So now what I want to talk about here, so they have financial motivation to screw us all. But when you look at ex parte communications, this is the meaning of the phrase. And when you read what it's about, sanctions, okay, procedure on occurrence of ex parte communication. The administrative law judge, who's Blowie, mentioned in the transcript, okay, called another judge, which the prosecutor is aware of, and by law, we were supposed to be there too. Yeah, myself and poor Sam. Now, I made a video on YouTube, which is still there, which you can still see. And I am innocent of any charges. I certainly don't own a handgun, and I'm certainly not. The claims they made in my arrest are to cover up the election fraud case. Okay? We have an election fraud case. We have a 5G case in Connecticut. We have Blumenthal. We have Murphy. We have Schumer. We have Gillibrand. We have Bob Duff. We have lots of defendants, folks, for 5G. And let me tell you, the evidence is compelling. What I'm saying in the 5G case is that there's one town in Connecticut whose RF radiation level is 6 million times the legal limit. 6 million times the legal limit. I'm saying if you live in Hamden, Connecticut, you better move. Okay? They're not telling you. I'm telling you. If I'm wrong, hey, I'm wrong. I took the reading. That's what it was. Do you want to be infertile, have cancer, and be autistic? 6 million times the limit. RF radiation is tricky. It's radiation. It causes cancer. But what it does to babies is worse. Babies absorb. Amniotic fluid absorbs radiation. If you sleep next to the router or a smart meter, you're going to have autism, folks. I don't pull punches. Why would I? The fact is, in my hand is a ex parte communication referenced in an illegal arrest talked about by Randolph and Tamaccio, who were not there, who happened to know what Judge Blowie said to McShane. Now, McShane, Heather, you want to just say you were a witness?
Yeah,
I mean, there are 9 of us.
I was on the phone with you talking.
Yep.
And then you were with Samuel Magliari.
Right. Well, let's.
We were talking for an hour on the phone.
Right.
I never even knew that was the conversation.
Neither did I.
That led to your arrest. We had dinner one night. Maybe 4 weeks later, 3 weeks later, and realized that was the conversation. At the end of the conversation, it was...
The state troopers didn't even know which video it was.
It's ridiculous. If you were...
By the way,
threatening...
They had no warrant.
Johnny, I'm a mandated reporter. If you were threatening someone, I would be the first one. I called out a doctor that I work for, as you know.
Right.
I called him out, and it took me years to have him arrested.
Okay, so what happened with you witnessing what happened to Sam? Go ahead.
Yeah, so same thing in Sam's case. I was at all those hearings.
Yep.
Maybe not in the initial stages.
Right.
But once I got involved, I was.
Did Sam appear?
Every hearing.
Did Sam appear?
Of course he did.
Okay, now why were 5 warrants issued for him not appearing if you and I were sitting there and he appeared?
It's ridiculous.
Okay, so they're lying. It's the same Tamaccio.
Listen, Johnny.
Go ahead.
Let me correct something.
Go ahead. Go.
Yes, Sam had 9 people in the courtroom. One man that he never met before.
Right.
He witnessed what happened.
Right.
A woman that he is just recently an acquaintance of, she was there. She witnessed it.
Right.
And then there were 7 other people that he knows that were all personal acquaintances of Sam's. We all sat like ladies and gentlemen in the courtroom. You're forgetting to mention that there were marshals in that courtroom. And they've got an obligation. They couldn't believe that. They backed up when the judge started screaming at all of us.
He had a rant.
He ranted, all right. He never looked at any of us in the eye. He came out without his robe on, and he screamed at all of us to leave. And so we left.
No, he said, clear the courtroom, clear the courtroom, clear the courtroom.
He said, leave, now. Everyone out. And when a judge screams that you've never met before, you've never laid eyes before on this person, he's standing up.
Well, here he is in an ex parte communication about this event.
Well, the ex parte comes in because there was an order in the Stanford court this was a communication between Judge Blowie, Judge Randolph, and the prosecutor, Tamaccio.
Right.
And this was an order that Sam Magliari, to make sure that he gets his due process, to make sure that there's no impropriety, for safety reasons, they're going to transfer Sam's case to Bridgeport for fairness on all parties. So what happened? Tamaccio, I have my feelings on this guy. I mean, no one would want to be involved with Tamaccio as a prosecutor.
Well, you heard me start with the Alvin Bragg situation, right?
No, but he made sure that he made the statement to save, any inconvenience on his colleagues. He's going to follow the case, and he's going to be the prosecutor against Sam. So, I mean, did we all fall off a cabbage truck? For God's sake, you're going to move this man, make him drive all the way to Bridgeport.
I saw Tamaccio lie multiple times about discovery. Multiple times.
Well, I mean, we were all there, Johnny. It's beside the point. You're not going to take a prosecutor that's after Sam's ass and move the case for, to keep away from impropriety and send the prosecutor over to Bridgeport from Stanford to save on his colleagues. What about Sam? What about an innocent man facing 27 years in prison?
Hey, Randolph.
You were in that courtroom. We fear for our lives now. You and I both. We've talked about it.
Hold on. Randolph.
Going into the court.
Lawrence Tamaccio is talking about ex parte communications between two judges that are what? What are they doing? They're repeating the Tamaccio lies. Now, hold on. Look, Tamaccio...
Sam doesn't get his fair day in court.
Tamaccio lied. And they are now hearing directly lies from Tamaccio. Correct?
We weren't there. All we know is that a judge in writing, in the transcript said he reached out to Bridgeport, much further than what his canons allow. The only thing he's allowed to do as an administrative judge is transfer the case. The end of story. And the clerks go when they send the notice, and if there's any questions, then that's a whole nother story. It has to be done in writing.
Well, what you may not understand, hold on, is that Blowie was handling the election fraud case.
The thing is...
Now, hold on. You know Blowie knows Andrew Pritchard and you and Sam, all of which are supposed to be dead people because your signatures didn't matter in the election. You understand? You were not counted.
Yeah, of course I wasn't counted. I went to go vote for you and you weren't on the ballot.
Well, here we go. Blowie was
I wrote your name on the ballot because you belonged on the ballot.
I wrote my name on the ballot too.
Okay, well, but why bother voting? There's no fairness. They just throw.
Well, hold on. I'm about to demonstrate that Connecticut used the GEMS system and CIER and the LHS system, bought and paid for by Soros, bought and paid for by, basically organized crime. And now China has 3 trillion megabytes, volumes and volumes of Connecticut election information on every single thing that happens to you in Connecticut.
Yeah, well, Connecticut.
They sold it.
That's the nickname, Corrupticut. And it starts, if there's a problem and you have to go to that court.
Oh, terabytes. That's what they're called. Terabytes. That's a lot of volume. In other words, they know everything about you, all your purchasing habits, where you go and buy gas, where you go food shopping. They know what your preferences are. You understand?
Well, then they should understand that none of us were a threat on anyone. They should understand that.
It's illegal surveillance.
You're not going out there threatening anyone. And
you know what's interesting?
Didn't you?
You know what's interesting? The marshals, you just had a problem with the marshal, right? The lead marshal for the Stanford Superior Court is named Joseph Suda. In the documents, he's claiming he's surveilling me. Hello? I'm a U.S. Senate candidate?
I mean, that's what this marshal that was trying to push me down the stairs said. I know everything about you, screaming at me at the top of my lungs. I do not feel safe going into the court. How am I supposed to go in and, defend myself in a court when I can't?
You know what the problem is? The problem is they know, Heather, they know you were Dr. Ahuja's nurse. They know Dr. Ahuja bought judges, said so. We know, based on where the cases went and what the outcome of those lawsuits were. In other words, when Ahuja was brought to Stanford for the second time, correct?
Correct.
The outcome of that is that he was given AR when he already got federally indicted, right?
Correct.
And then got a $10,000 fine, which is what? 1/10,000th of what the fine for a whistleblower Sam Magliari has done, right? And the whole, the crux of this case is that Sam's niece died of an oxy overdose in Stamford, Connecticut, where Dr. Ahuja is the go-to guy.
By Dr. Ahuja.
And the feds...
Kids had blood on our... This community needs to stand up.
And the feds know that Dr. Ahuja had his own plane and license flying down to Florida to bring oxy up from mules. And what'd they do about it? They gave the case to Judge White. Why Judge White?
Well, Judge White, for an example, I think this really is what resonates with me. I shouldn't say all, because all the victims would never fit in the courtroom in Stanford.
Right.
Not in all the courtrooms.
Right. They had one event in Stanford, 300 people showed up.
There were multitudes of victims that wanted to make a victim's impact statement, which is allowed through the Connecticut statutes.
Right.
Everyone, most states, I think all states participate by allowing a victim to make their impact statement.
Right. Did you try?
Denied all victims.
Who did?
Judge White.
From everyone.
From everyone. He screamed in the court when
So why would Judge White deny victim impact statements against Dr. Ahuja? And tomorrow at 10 o'clock is Nick Ahuja in the courtroom. And we need people to show up.
Yep.
It's a big deal, folks. These are oxy pill pushers.
You want the public to know what the second judge did when I wouldn't stop and I filed and I made sure that I was going to get my day in court, and multiples of victims wanted to follow. So they went into another hearing on another day, and we complained. Actually, they asked me to go up. The court did. So I went up, and I tried to explain to Judge Hudock that what Judge White wouldn't allow us to make a victim's impact statement. And he said on the record, well, then I will stand behind Judge White till the end of time. So in other words, so I told him, well, then, I'm just that type of person. I don't say the judge is any better than anybody else. I actually have disdain because of how they're not doing their job.
Well, let's mention too that Ahuja's brother got caught with $18 million in the trunk of his car, bribing New York cops.
Yep.
So when AJ Ahuja boasts that he bought a judge, and it turns out that White hears the case, what do you think?
Well, and then who were they, again, who was it that Michael was bribing? He was bribing New York police officers.
Right,
And
all the way to
how much
Texas,
were those
actually.
Bribes, 300,000. I mean, big bribes, not little chump change.
Right.
So, you know,
No, he wanted drug dealers to be released from jail.
Yeah, and he was bribing New York police officers to get that. So, the bottom line, this is a big organization. I had boxes of death threats that I've, you know, turned over to the Stanford Police Department. All they did was mock me. I wasn't going to let up until I saw him get arrested, which that's exactly what happened. They ended up finally, after how many years? 12 years? They finally checked into what I was saying and realized this woman is not going to shut up, so we better at least throw her a bone. So he got arrested for drug dealing, but what about all the victims? What about my neighbor that's dead? What about the kids that I know around town that can't come off of these substances?
What about Sam's niece?
No money and no family. That they've all been tossed out in the road like garbage because their families can't deal with their addiction problems. What about this guy that's going to court that was sexually molested by Dr. Ahuja? And no one's doing anything about it. When he went to report to the Darien Police Department, he had to reach out to you, Johnny.
Yeah, Darien is horrible. Darien is protecting oxy doctors. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And money launderers.
What was the first selectman's name in Darien?
Jamie Stevenson.
Okay, I went to her. I went in a public forum, and all the people in Darien that were at that meeting, a lot of them, there had to be at least, I'd say about 100 people in the room.
Now, why did the GOP...
that Dr. Ahuja is dealing right out of his office, right there on Post Road. And the people were clapping for me. They were outraged. Like, and what did Jamie Stevenson say? Oh, I'll talk to Ted Jankowski and Stanford.
Ted Jankowski's a criminal, yeah.
Well, he's out now. He retired.
Well, he took so much money from him.
I mean, let's add it all up. They're picking on victims. They're incarcerating victims for speaking out. And I don't have protection. When I went to the FBI last month, what did they tell me? I mean, I don't have an order of protection for me.
Yeah.
Dr. Ahuja's son admitted to having something to do with shooting my stepson
in the back of the head. He gave him a confession. Unprosecuted.
What about when they hit me in the head and I had brain damage from it? What about that? I had to relearn how to read and write. What are they going to do about this? Now,
they're doing nothing.
Ahuja, they make it, oh, he's a doctor. Oh, like, well, what does that have to do with anything? When he was married to his wife, he threw her down the stairs. He got away with it. He beat her bloody. The neighbors told me.
Actually, I heard Dr. Ahuja just fell down the stairs himself.
Yeah, well, I doubt he fell.
Oh, you think?
His son had a little bit of something to do with that.
Oh, his son's inheriting a fortune.
Kids were mental. It's well known in town when they broke in, to the school on Newfield Avenue and did over $100,000 worth of damage. Dr. Ahuja gave a $10,000 donation.
So here we go. Let me get back.
Everywhere Ahujas go and anything they do,
Heather,
they just throw $10,000.
Heather, I want to get back to the ex parte communications of judges dealing with the judges who are bought.
Wonderful.
In other words, if they're saying I threatened 5 judges, who are they? I don't know who they are.
Yeah, I didn't hear any threat, and I was on the phone with you.
Right,
That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I didn't even know that was why you were arrested. We were sitting talking on the phone.
Right.
It's nonsense. It's nonsense.
They don't want us talking about them.
No, because you put your heads together and then, you start realizing, oh, wait a minute, they did this to me, they did that to me.
Time out. Connecticut. 9 people have come forward saying that Dr. Ahuja is a monster. Chris Kelly.
Not only a monster, they came forward admitting that they were sexually assaulted. This
is a doctor raping his patients.
The drugs that he was giving without any prescriptions. He was just handing them.
Hold on a second. So here we go. Judge White gave him a slap on the wrist after losing his medical license and was prescribing what?
No, he didn't lose it. All he did was agree to the fact. Well, he didn't agree. The DEA pulled his controlled substance license.
Okay, fine.
So he was allowed to work as a physician, but he wasn't allowed to deliver controlled substances. So his clown-ass attorney, Glenn Gazen, who used to be a magician, by the way, he's an idiot, he went into court, and his defense in criminal court against Dr. Ahuja being a drug dealer was, Dr. Ahuja has a hearing problem. He didn't hear him say that he wasn't allowed to deal drugs. The second excuse was that Dr. Ahuja, basically, I know as a fact that that's a paid-for medical license. Because I know the woman that was instrumental in helping him get this.
There is no way that he gave out 7,000 pills a year. No way.
Maybe 7 million.
Right. Maybe 700,000, not 7,000.
Well, the other reason that Glenn Gazen gave that Dr. Ahuja was dealing drugs was he never had the full command of the English language. He never mastered that. So you're telling me for 30 years he's been prescribing and running an urgent care center in 2 locations, one in Darien on Post Road and one on High Ridge Road in Stamford. And he never had the full command of the English language, and he couldn't hear what people were saying, and he was a doctor. And they're just, the asinine stupidity that Judge White has allowed, and then to scream at me in a courtroom filled with maybe 100 people, or 100 or better, to sit down, that I wasn't going to be allowed my day in court after being victimized by these animals.
Okay, let's talk about McShane and Blowie with the problem of you not being able to get a fair shake.
Well, now
the document says right in it, none of these people can get a fair shake in the Stamford Superior Court. This includes Andrew.
Well, they didn't say that. They said to avoid impropriety. That's what it says. So in other words, let's avoid it. If it's there or not there, let's just avoid it and send you to Bridgeport. So Sam goes to Bridgeport, but right there in the transcript it says that judge, Judge Blowie, Judge Randolph, and the prosecutor.
Well, here we go. You're getting picked on because you were Dr. Ahuja's nurse, and he told you that he bought a judge. How many times? How many times did he say it?
Oh, he's told so many contractors, and he brags. He's very arrogant.
See?
He brags.
Now, is that your fault? Is that your problem? No. Is that your fault? No. Is that your problem? No. Why are they making it your problem? How did they bribe? Why did Stamford destroy the evidence?
Why is Stamford in my backyard? Why are they looking at the construction of my deck? Why are they here doing X, Y, and Z? Why do I have $100 fine every day on my home? Why are they foreclosing on me? Why haven't they gotten off their asses and got me my property back in California that Dr. Ahuja stole? $3.5 million.
I think you should sue him. I think you should sue a long list of characters.
That's what, you know what? That's why they have corporation counsel, all these big lawyers, 70 of them in Stamford, and they all sit there, all they're doing is trying to keep the city out of trouble. So they had to put a cap on it, because if everyone that's been damaged by Dr. Ahuja that went to his office, that was misdiagnosed, that went in there for Suboxone treatments to get sober when he was in the back room handing your kids drugs. I mean, this guy... that's why this cop in Stamford, he went around on his own time for 1 year, handing out flyers to every resident in Stamford, asking them to go to a meeting in the town hall. And he actually won. They didn't allow Dr. Ahuja to put a big Suboxone clinic on High Ridge Road. The neighbors were in upheaval about it. This cop took out his own website. I mean, it was very involving.
So let's just end this on this statement, okay? Think of all the families harmed by Dr. Ahuja giving out Oxy like candy to hook a sales force. In other words, he has this mule, he has this plane, he flies into Sikorsky, back and forth. This is a drug runner.
It's not a little organization. This isn't a little Stanford, little tiny town anymore. They've already busted the mules that used to come up here from Florida to deliver the drugs to Ahuja. But Ahuja gets away with everything. Everyone, it's common knowledge to most of the public that they never get to the big guy. The only ones getting it is a little dime bag weed dealer, kids, high school kids, etc.
Right. Okay.
They're ruining their lives and putting these...
Hold on. I just want to say, everything going on with ex parte communications in the back room, and the prosecutor is in on it, framing the people.
Yep.
Framing the people.
Yep.
Here we go.
They're taking out a personal vendetta against, and they don't let up. So, how are we supposed to fight the FBI, the DOJ, these judges? As soon as the judge says jump, all of these idiots say how high. And the people are being victimized by
So here we go. The prosecutor lies or says, hey, Oxy's profitable. What happens? Tong asked the Stanford prosecutors twice to go after Purdue Pharma criminally. What happened? Oh no, it's too profitable. So, what happens? The chief of police makes $1.4 million, drives a Bentley, and runs security for Purdue. And at the same time, they cover up the Oxy pill mill murders of a doctor whose wife was murdered, whose son was murdered, and who else is murdered? Well, hold on. AJ, look, listen. The guy who's in court tomorrow threw a brick through a window with a note saying he shot your nephew, correct? In the back of the head. And, okay, your stepson. And, well, you consider him your son. And is claiming that the same thing will happen, right, to Chris Kelly.
Yeah, if he doesn't leave town, and so that's what he did, because he needs protection before he can keep going through these courts.
So he's denied protection. Hold on.
Tomorrow's the day.
Denied protection, just like the last kid, who's no longer with us.
Well, how'd they protect me? How'd they protect me when Ahuja hit me in the head with the metal pipe? How'd they protect me when his brother was going to smash my face with some sort of a paint machine when I was laying on the ground and 6 guys were, in the background, illegals that weren't willing to get involved. And one American plumber came and pulled me up off of the ground before they smashed my face.
Thank God for the American plumber.
Judge Tobin told them, you're not going to treat a woman like this. You're going to pay her $32,000. Do you think I ever got 1 penny? I never got a penny. I had doctor's bills, but I never got a penny to pay them. No, these courts don't enforce anything.
Wow. I just heard from... Listen, I went to 169 Strong yesterday. Okay, which is a local zoning issue problem where they're not building enough affordable housing, and they're cramming a lot of apartments into small acreage zoning things. And you know what? There's no solution to the problem at all. And what's worse is they don't know what the problem is. The problem with the financial mortgage crisis and the fact that no homeowners have any rights, all the tenants have the rights, which leads to foreclosure. They are running the pill mill. They're running the pill mill. They're running the mortgage mill. In Connecticut, the judges own the mortgage mills. It's allowed. The lobbyist, who's, in this case, Spader, is a police commissioner, a judge, and the lawyer on his own cases. He hears the cases he initiated as an attorney. What's going on here? Ruling from the bench on cases that he filed. Excuse me? And compensating the senators holding the 169 strong meetings, trying to give a solution to a problem without addressing the giant in the room. Ed Marcus passed away. They're jockeying for his position as top dog. Judah Epstein is becoming the next Ed Marcus. And no one in the room understands that. Not even the senators on the dais discussing the problem with the 150 people in the audience who say, what can we do? What can we do to help? What can we do to help? We got to get the judges involved, disbarred. Clear conflicts of interest. EMAP fraud everywhere. Every town has a problem. And every problem, like Andrew Pritchard, has to be solved. He's in the right, but how will he ever get redress from a court that won't hear his motions?
Exactly.
I have problems in the election fraud case. I've marked the same motions ready time after time after time. Who's covering it up? Hey, that would be Jonathan Bubar and, what's his name? Ryan Flanagan. You have a problem with Amy McShelvey. Well, so did I. I had so many problems with her, she'll never deal with me again because she's topped out the number of problems. She can't touch my cases. She's committed many problems by timestamping things incorrectly, missing documents, cashed checks. 200 cases are missing from the file. 200 cases I filed are missing. How do you get over that?
That she's directly responsible for, half of these foreclosures.
Well, she's responsible for Chris's problem, isn't she? Or is that Tim? Is she responsible for Tim's problem?
Absolutely. 100% for his whole family getting arrested and thrown out of their home.
4 children arrested because of the clerk mis-timestamping a document intentionally.
And not docketing a full court hearing that we have the transcript for. So he referenced the hearing and said, wait a minute, I'm not supposed to be in this courtroom. I'm supposed to be in front of Judge Kavanowski. He's the one with the information. He told me in a week to come back to him. And
plausible deniability. The judge hands off the case after he commits a felony because he doesn't want to be attached to the felony. You can't, conflicts.
How do we put the brakes on this when the media is on stand down?
Administrative law judge.
The neighbors just sit there and watch somebody one by one. They pick you off. Get out with no justice. What could that be?
Listen.
I pay my mortgage.
All parties.
So did Andrew.
All parties to the proceeding shall have an opportunity within 10 days of the ex parte communication to file responses. I learned from a different judge that the other 2 judges have ex parte communications, which is an ex parte communication in of itself.
Yeah, well, you could bet your sweet life on it that they talked on your case, too.
Oh, no doubt.
I mean, that's how they do it. There's no appellate court in the state of Connecticut. Oh, you take it to the next court. And what, waste $410 filing it?
Well, they just dismissed an appeal on the election fraud case, and I don't know who the judge is. But let me tell you, when the facts come out that Connecticut hacked 20 other states, including Michigan, Wisconsin, Vermont, and Pennsylvania, those 4 states, Biden got all the Electoral College votes of 4 states, making him the winner of the presidential election in a fraud case in Connecticut. Connecticut's responsible for the hack in Oklahoma, Alabama, all these places that these people have no idea that Connecticut did it.
Well, the bottom line is Connecticut better pull their heads out of you-know-where. They better pull it out because
God bless you. Let's wrap it up.
There's a few people that are controlling the strings here, and
well, unfortunately, as I just described, Connecticut being responsible for election fraud, guess what they're also responsible for? 5G.
Yeah.
Blumenthal is accepting 18 bribes, and we're flying blind about radiation that will detach your retina from your eye. It's a proven fact. It's a science. Trust the science when I say that DNA is affected, genetics, cancer. Radiation is radiation, folks. If it's inside your microwave and it heats your food, it's going to heat you when you're outside the microwave. Same thing. Speeding up your electrons causes, what do you say? Each cell in your body can't recover from the damage that they're doing. Long-term exposure to 5G will cause multiple diseases. Long-term. Let me just say, the catfish in Chernobyl are 12 feet long on average. Why? Because of the radiation from the leak at the Chernobyl power plant. Guess what? Hamden, Connecticut's radiation is higher. Need I say more?
Yeah.
There's no regulation. They're being bribed out the ass, and it's affecting you. It's like getting a forced vaccination when you know that the vaccination causes all types of problems. Getting forced radiation without your consent is worse because they know that cigarettes cause cancer. They know that radiation causes cancer. And as long as they get a big enough bribe, they'll push it through. That's a problem.
Like everything else.
Ex parte communications. We got to prove that the judges have knowledge that they're rigging the cases, and they are. Thank you, Heather.
All right, take care, Johnny.
Bye.